The first guy I trained was, I guess in 1975, was Tony Atlas.
Okay.
And I started in 7th grade, wrestled in 7th and 8th grade, 4 years of high school. Then I went to junior college and then up to Trenton State and spent the money. But I had the number 4 seed that year. And Backlund had number 1. And King Kong Bundy's brother, Chris Pallies, had number 2.
Oh, wow.
And he said, if you still want to be a professional wrestler, I'm coming to New York, and I'll introduce you to the people that you need to know. So I got all excited about it. I'm doing push-ups and sit-ups and jogging and all that stuff, and I never heard from him. He said, you don't want to do this, kid. He goes, it's a terrible business. You're going to meet some of the assholes, biggest assholes you've ever met in your life. He said, but you will meet some of the nicest people that you've ever met in your life. And the next weekend to train in Wildwood, I knew all this stuff. And he's like, where you been? One time he told me, he stopped his car and said, I saw a wallet. So I got out to get the wallet, and he goes, you have to jog now. He made me jog. Like he could never show me a short arm scissors, but he could tell me what to look out for and what guys were going to stab you in the back. And in Florida, they had Mike Graham, a midget, 5'8", beat me in 15 seconds on TV. What are you going to learn?
Right.
And back then, the guys would pay 3.5 cents a mile to ride to the towns, and you're driving 2,000 miles a week. So, I would take a lot of guys to the towns and, actually make money just on my transportation.
All right, that's awesome.
We left the arena, and I got my top sliced, and all, the windows broke out of the car, and headlights broke out. I had to drive home with like one headlight on and stuff like that. So I'm driving, we're on the way to Wilmington, and a news flash came on, said, plane crash went down in Wilmington, and right away Art Nelson says, that's wrestlers. And just start wailing away at me. And he was a terrible worker. He had no crowd psychology, nothing like that. And I'm like, fuck this. 70 mile an hour, a cab pulls up on the passenger side, this far away. The cabbie puts his window down and says, and he's like, you're not gonna do it? I'm like, no. And then the referee come over and said, you're fired someday. It was like one of my goals, not even to work the territory. I just wanted to meet Stu Hart. Think out of it. Wow. He was just like an off-the-wall fucking dude, which is what I loved about him. I mean, but how can you be bitter to a business that made you $1 million or more? What is there to be bitter about? He tried the exact same thing with me. And in the middle of the spot, he stuck it to me. I jumped up, beat the piss out of him. In 1976, I bought a brand new Cadillac Coupe de Ville, and
How many miles did you put on it?
I put 2,000 miles a week on it.
It's crazy.
In 3 months, it was out of warranty. Be a ragdoll, and then they sick me on him.
Right.
Which wasn't fair to him. To me, I just want to keep my job. I can't get in there and show them what you can get in there and show them, but I can teach them the psychology. What do you think of the two of us opening up a school, and you can train my son? He's like, okay. And that was on Friday. On Monday afternoon, we had practice again. I'm like, did you jog it all over the weekend? And he looks me right in the eyes, and he's serious, and he goes, no, but I switched to Miller Lite. But he's the kind of guy that wakes up in the morning, and if he's not pissed off about something, that pisses him off.
Right.
Wasn't there 2 minutes, got in the ring, and I had him hit the ropes. He did that. I said, can you do a cartwheel? He did a cartwheel, and you knew that he was going to be an overnight sensation.
You heard money signs?
And I had asked him, I said, would you tattoo your whole forehead? And he's like, why? I said, it's because I think it'll make you $1 million. He goes, what do you got in mind? And when we were down there, I read it one night, and it says the hardest job in professional wrestling goes to Bam Bam Bigelow and Pretty Boy Larry Sharpe for having to work with the Ultimate Warrior every night. And then in this very town, him and I, Phil Collins, shot a music video.
Right.
I'm exhausted. It was a 13-hour flight. I come in and I just dropped into bed, and my wife says about 20 minutes later, Vince is on the phone. I'm like, what? She goes, Vince McMahon's on the phone. I'm like, tell him to call me back. Now, you don't tell Vince that. And unfortunately, people got in their head like they got in Bigelow's head, and they decided that they were going to do better off on their own. Monster Factory, they both flew out here. And, you look at him and he's going to make money. But I never counted on how stupid he was. We were in a place in Philadelphia one time owned by gangsters, okay? And I mean real gangsters. The only two people that didn't have a gun on them was me and the Big Show.
Okay.
90 grand a year. Jumped on a plane, come up here for a tryout, went home, quit his job, turn around and come back. And that scared me. I'm like, dude, you quit a $90,000 a year job to try to be a wrestler? I thought I was fucking stupid.
Right.
You know, it's different if a guy don't make it. You know, I can understand him. You know, like I know Larry went to the school, blah blah blah. He made it. Okay, never lent out any credits, anything, and just stiff me for the money. Do that. But if you can't get heat by staying in the ring, then I've done something wrong in my training, because they should know how to get good heat in the ring without going. Him having a fantasy of sleeping with this girl that used to hang around. And I don't want to mention her name because she's still around. So he thought he was conning people, but he wasn't. You know, he was doing the right thing all the time, but he had set it up in his mind like he had wheeled and dealed to get something. That all he had. I kind of feel bad for him in a way. You know, all he's doing now is selling insurance, and he's doing very well at it. But I mean, you know, Todd Gordon's out of the picture, and then you see what that ECW going to the WWE, you know, how big it's become, and I'm sure that's got to hurt, whether he says so. The next day, Abby picks up the tab, and he picked up the tab almost every day for the next 6 weeks, and he goes, you know, you're the first guy that ever picked up a tab from me. And his answer to me was, you should have asked the boss. So, took off my boots, fucking threw them in my bag, and I left through the crowd. And Jack went with me. No matter how much they hate me, they need good wrestlers, and guess what? The Monster Factory has them. You know what I'm saying? He was making $125,000 a year in the 60s and saying that wrestling is racist. You know, it helped Vince as far as financially make money and get rid of the athletic commission and this and that. But once you tell a kid that there's no Santa Claus, Christmas is never the same, you know. Basically, they're like, you got 30 days to live if we don't get this straight. Because I had what you call a smart cancer, and the cancer would get in the crevices of your brain and start to eat your brain up. If you know, anybody's really interested in becoming serious about being a professional wrestler, that, you know, this is a place to come to. Or even if you're interested in learning how to promote or wanting to promote, you know, you can contact Dan or myself, and we can teach you. And it will help us, and it will help you, and it'll be fun.